Good afternoon, Joliet. We're here in support of Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. We hope we get a resolution here today for the police brutality. That's all I got to say in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mr. Ernest Krim III. I'm a history teacher, activist, author, and speaker, and I'm out here today for this Joliet Unity Movement. We're just out here having a great time and celebrating Black culture and justice and equity in our community, and we just want to make sure that we continue to raise awareness so people know how important it is during this time to be very diligent and vigilant for unity for all people, especially Black people.
Good afternoon. My name is Elvis Adams. I'm out at the ATI Stadium in Joliet for Black Lives Matter, and it's filling up, and it shows that it's time. And I'm so happy that all these people are out to help us overcome and get equality.
Good afternoon. I'm Phyllis Adams, and we're here in support of Black Lives Matters so that we can continue the fight for equality and against police brutality. We have a great big problem here in Joliet as well as all over where we need to refund different programs that will help make the change, because we need to make the change.
Well, it's a wonderful, beautiful Sunday afternoon, and we're here today hoping that the future will change. It's really devastating for me after seeing the young Black man killed in Atlanta last night. We talked about Mr. Floyd, that moment starting a movement. And I believe it has started a movement that would change the world. But while we're in the middle of the movement, there's always another moment. There's always another moment of a police officer taking a life. So let today be the beginning of not just the movement continuing, but this movement has to be forever. This movement has to be where we who know the right thing, we who know that police reform needs to happen, we've got to keep moving forward. As Martin Luther King said, let's march on until victory is won. God bless you.
Thank you for being here today. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for being here today, showing your support and solidarity for the Black community. We are from the group Joliet Unity Discussions. We created this group and this event to have our space to have a difficult conversation. We need to teach our youth that people matter, our community matters, and actions matter. We, as a diverse community, can create great change together. We are powerful when we support each other. Our group thought it was important to have an event where we, as people of color, gave an opportunity for our Black community members. Oh, okay, thank you. To tell their stories so that we can listen, hear, and learn. It is important that we know our history, our actual non-whitewashed history. We know about what is happening around our country and in our own town, and we also can learn how we can empower our local community to change what needs to be changed and fight until that happens. First, I would like to introduce to you Ernest Krim, an award-winning educator, activist, author, public speaker, Divided We Fall cast member, and author of Black History Saved My Life, whose goal is to use his life experience to inspire others to fight injustice, educate and empower themselves, and resolve conflicts appropriately. He's a Chicago native and Joliet resident whose social awareness increased after he pursued and obtained justice when he and his wife were the targets of a hate crime that went viral in 2016. Since then, he has committed himself to speaking publicly about issues of social injustice while also advocating for equitable legislative reforms in the Chicago area. Yeah, sorry about that.
Ooh, hey. Hey, what's up, y'all? How's it going today? Make some noise for yourself. Make some noise. Make some noise. I'm the first speaker, so I guess I'm kind of like the hype person of some sorts. And it's a pleasure to be here. It's unfortunate why I have to be here and speak. I've actually spoken more times the last few weeks than I've ever spoken in my life about these issues. And that's an unfortunate thing, but I think the positive thing is that we're all here united, various different backgrounds, various different colors and cultures and ethnicities, because we all want the same thing. And I saw a tweet before, maybe 2 weeks ago, in the midst of everything. And they said that this was the biggest civil rights demonstration in the history of the world, even bigger than the 60s. We're talking more than 20 countries, all 50 states. So what we're doing right here in Joliet and places all across the country is historic, and I want you all to remember that. And despite all the negativity we see with these issues, be encouraged that we're setting the foundation here to change the course of history in America and in the world. So make some noise for yourself, y'all. So my thing is, I'm a big proponent in politics of the people. So a chant that I always like to lead, which of course is not something I created, this is something that was popularized by the Black Panthers, by Fred Hampton, is all power to the people. So when I say all power, you all have to say to the people, all right? All power to the people. 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 All right, so you gotta excuse me, it's gonna be pretty long, but just be patient. John Crawford, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Couzeau, Laquan McDonald, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Romaine Brispin, Jerame Reed, Matt Ajabe, James Powell, Frank Smart, Natasha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Anthony Hill, Maya Hill, Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman, Alexia Christian, Brenda Glenn, Victor Manuel LaRosso, Alexia Christian, Freddie Gray, Joseph Mann, Salvador Ellswood, Sandra Bland, Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart, Billy Ray Davis, Samuel DeBose, Michael Sabby, Brian Keith Day, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Asham Sparrow Manley, Felix Kumai, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Lamontez Jones, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchison, Anthony Ashford, Alonzo Smith, Tyree Crawford, India Kager, Levante Biggs, Michael Lee Marshall, Jamar Clark, Richard Perkins, Philip Pannell, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Benny Lee Tignor, Miguel Espinol, Michael Noel, Kevin Matthews, Betty Jones, Kentonio LeGrier, Keith Childress Jr., Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Antron Scott, Wendell Celestine, David Joseph, Colleen Rockwamore, Deshaun Perkins, Christopher Davis, Marco Lau, James Bird Jr., Peter Gaines, Torrey Robinson, Darius Robinson, Kevin Hicks, Mary Trulio, DeMarcus Samir, Amadou Diallo, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Seville Smith, Demetrius DeBose, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Paul O'Neill, Alteria Woods, Bobby Russ, Jordan Edwards, Aaron Bailey, Ronell Foster. I'm not done yet. Stephen Clark, Corey Carter, Antoine Rose, Taylor Rock, Melise Green, Ramali Graham, Elijah McClain, Ayanna Stanley Jones, she was like 8 years old. Both from John Pamela Turner, Dominique Clayton, Sean Bell, who shot 50 times. Tatiana Jefferson, Jamel Roberson, James Lee Alexander, Ryan Matthew Smith, Derek Ambrose, Addie Mae Collins, Carol Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, Cynthia Wesley, Nicholas Hayward, Christopher Whitfield, Willie McCoy, Victor White, Marcus Deion Smith, Martin Lee Anderson, Christopher McCorvey, Bradley Blackshire, Timothy Thomas, Reginald Dossett, Danroy Henry, Carvis Gamble, Eric Reason, Corrine Gaines, Rukia Boyd, Keontae Spencer, Darius Tarver. You tired yet? Wayne Arnold Jones, Manuel Ellis, Victor Duffy, Colby Demock Hessler, Clinton Allen, Timothy McCoffin, Corey Jones, Tyree King, Eric Garner, Miles Hall, Kendrick Johnson, Charlena Lyles, Bruce Carter, Scott Shoemaker, Michael Lorenzo Dean, Trayvon Martin, Renisha McBride, Oscar Grant, Breonna Taylor, Khalif Browder, Darian Hunt, Troy Hodge, William Green, Ahmaud Arbery, Deion Johnson, Tony McDade, Jamel Floyd, George Floyd, and last night, Rashard Brooks in a Wendy's parking lot while he was sleeping. These are just the names, y'all, that we know of. There are so many other cases where they might say that they don't have enough proof, there's no evidence. This is just what we know. And a lot of these, there's no video proof, so many people weren't outraged. We were outraged because we saw 8 minutes and 46 seconds for George Floyd. But some of those same things happened before. Sean Bell, it was his bachelor party. He was headed home 50 times. He was shot. Imagine if we saw that video, how outraged we would be. This stuff is deep, y'all. As black folks, we feel like we can't play music when we want to. We can't walk in Walmart, y'all. We can't, we can't play with a toy gun, Tamir Rice. We can't go jogging. For the people who smoke cigarettes, you can't smoke a cigarette. We can't go in the wrong house, right? Which is actually our house. We can't have a counterfeit bill. I know we shouldn't have it, but we shouldn't die because of that. We can't have a broken tail light. We can't switch to a different lane without a turning signal without dying. We can't sleep at home. We can't have a concealed carry. We can't have a FOID card and illegally carry without dying. But what I'm here today to tell you all is that on May 26, 2020, everything changed. And it's not because George Floyd was a celebrity. He's not. Nobody knew his name before this happened. And I'm saying May 26, 2020, because when he died, there was a new beginning that was birthed here in America. Because those reasons why I may feel paranoid to be a black man in this country will cease to exist. And I can't tell you when. I can't tell you it's going to be in my generation. I can't tell you it's going to be in my kids' generation, but I know what we're doing right here, right now has never been done ever, and it won't die right here. I see a video the other day, some white kids in a suburban town, and I think in Pennsylvania, marching for Breonna Taylor. You can't tell me that in 30 years when these kids are running for office, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native, that they're not going to change the world. For the first time in history, y'all, it is not popular to be openly or discreetly or subliminally racist. For the first time. I'm telling y'all, as recent as 5 years ago, if you said Black Lives Matter, somebody would say, well, all lives matter, or blue lives matter, and you carry on with your day. Now, I'm seeing people lose their job because you're intolerant. I don't have time to debate my livelihood with anybody. If you respond with blue lives or all lives, when I say black lives, I ain't got time for you. I'm working with people like y'all that see that we need to keep moving and change things in this society. See, what we need to do moving forward, because I know elections are important. And quick side note, you can register to vote here today. Where's the booth at? You can register to vote. There we go. That's very important. But I want y'all to understand, too, elections are every 4 years or every 2 years. What are we doing in the meantime? Parents, take control of your homes. We got prepared for this moment with COVID. We had to homeschool, right? So we cannot leave it up to our schools. The schools need to change a lot. Eurocentric history standards got to go, right? But until we can change that, we got to start at home. We need to have people who are leading us, religious leaders like Richard Allen. We need to have people like Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Beecher Stowe, allies like that, allies like John Brown, allies like James Reed, political leaders like John Quincy Adams, a white president who tried to get rid of slavery years before Abraham Lincoln did. We need leaders like with a mentality like Malcolm X, and of course Dr. King and Kwame Ture. That begins now. Teach your kids, y'all. What are we gonna do when we go home? Teach your kids that black is beautiful, that we all matter. Black lives matter. This is something that starts in the home, and that foundation leads to society. So what I need you all to do right now before I sit down, I'm not trying to lose my paper. So do me a favor, y'all. I'm just going to crumble it up and retrieve it later. Do me a favor, y'all. Put your hands up in the sky for me. I love to close all my speeches with this because I feel like it's very symbolic of who we are as Americans. If you were ever in a fight, let's say with Mike Tyson, if you tried to go at Mike Tyson with both your hands up like this, what would happen to you? You get knocked out. Even at 50-some years old, Mike Tyson's still bad. He's still bad. If you went at him with 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, you still gonna get messed up. Now what does it take to have a chance? You ball all those fingers up. And that's what we are as Americans. That's where we are right now in history. Because all lives cannot matter until my black lives matter. Right? Let's do this, y'all. We got this. Thank you for listening.
Next, we'll have Pastor Warren Doris, former manufacturing manager for Caterpillar Incorporated, former Will County president of Rainbow/Push, which is a nonprofit organization that pursues social injustice, civil rights, and political activism. He served on Joliet City Council for 24 years and he is currently the pastor at Joliet's Prayer Town Ministries.
Good afternoon. I want to thank you for this opportunity to come here today. Amen. It is wonderful to see that people from all different nationalities recognize that all lives matter, and if black lives don't matter, no lives matter. And we have come together to say change needs to come to America. When Mr. Floyd was killed, it created a moment. That moment created a movement that we've never seen anything like it before in the United States. We've had other moments with Sandra Bland. We've had other moments with others that were killed, all those names that were mentioned. We had moments, and all those moments led up to Mr. Floyd being killed. Now it has created a movement. It has created a movement from all walks of life. It has created a movement that the government does not know how to address. It's created a movement that says change must come to America. It's created a movement that says all men are indeed created equal, even though we were not getting that treatment under law. This movement says that things must change. This movement says because of the moment, America will never be the racist issue in just a few weeks because it's not difficult to solve. The reason people will say things like that because they've never felt the stain of racism. There are many people here today, amen, that have never felt racism, but they feel the need for us to change America. That's why we see people from Naperville, we see people from Aurora, people from Winnetka, people from the east side of Joliet, people from Sherwood, people from Shanahan and Olynyk right here saying, change must come to America. There has to be equal opportunity. You should not be threatened when the police stop you. You should not be threatened and feel like you won't get the job when you go try to get hired. Change must come to America. So where do we go from here? We have a movement, and no one really knows what to do with this movement. But I want to say until there's a plan that will bring to fruition out of this movement, don't stop marching. The system wants you to stop. They want you to stop having rallies. They want you to stop getting together and saying that there needs to be change. So where do we go from here? We keep on doing what we've done for the last 3 weeks. We keep on marching until victory is won. We keep on crying out until Washington hears us. We keep on crying out until the mayor of the city of Joliet hears us. We keep on crying out. Why? Because we have right on our side. And since I am a preacher, I'm going to say this. Because if God is for us, who can be against us? And they in all things, I'm more than a conqueror. Keep on marching till victory is won.
All right, all right.
Next, we have Denise Dowdowski, author of Black Blessings Will Not Come to Me, as well as an influencer and local activist.
Which one is the loudest?
Hello?
Green one is better. Can y'all hear me out there? All right. So I want to just say thank everybody for coming out. I see all of the different races in the crowd, and it is wonderful. It's a blessing to have so much support for Black Lives Matter. So give yourself a round of applause for just showing up. So I was asked to come and speak because I got a big mouth. So if y'all can't hear me in the back, something wrong because I have a big mouth. So what I would like everybody to do for me right now is just say with me, Black Lives Matters. Thank you, but y'all didn't say it loud enough, so I'm not believing you, because if I don't believe you, the people out there not going to believe you. So when I say on the count of 3, y'all need to say Black Lives Matter. 1, 2, 3. Black Lives Matter. That's what I'm talking about. We got to make it known that we matter in this world. So I need y'all to keep that same energy from now here on out, because we are making this a movement, and this movement is creating some wonderful changes in our cities, in our states. So we need to keep it going. So I need y'all to go with me one more time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Black Lives Matter. All right, come on, get me hyped. I'm ready. So usually, you know, I don't prepare a speech, but today I did. I just wanted to, you know, hit a couple of points for y'all while I'm up here speaking. And so I want you all to just take some time to really listen to some key points in this speech, because they're important. And we have to cover a lot of bases in racism. And this is one of the things that I felt the need that we needed to cover today. Okay? So here we go. I stand before you today to talk about the present racism. But before I speak about the present, I must touch on the past. Some of you may have heard of a 14-year-old boy by the name of George Stinney Jr. He was convicted of murdering 2 white girls ages 7 and 11. Stinney was given the electric chair on June 16, 1944. After reopening his case, his conviction was overturned 70 years later. Stinney would have been 91 years old on October 21st. 11 years later, another 14-year-old boy by the name of Emmett Till was killed on August 28, 1955, for allegedly, I said for allegedly, flirting or whistling to a white woman. Till was accused of grabbing the woman's waist and uttering obscenities. I'm going to say that word again, allegedly. The 2 white men who murdered Till were acquitted. In 2008, Carolyn Bryant, whom Till allegedly offended, admitted she fabricated parts of her story. Till would have been 79 years old on July 25th. Stinney and Till's stories stick out to me for a few reasons. Stinney and I share the same birthday, and Till was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, like myself. Stinney was only a few years older than my father, while Till was murdered the same year my mother was born. Both of the boys were African American and were wrongly accused for something they did not do. It saddens me that women like Bryant, whom are now called Karens, still exist. Y'all don't know what a Karen is? How many people know what a Karen is? Well, let me help the people out who don't know what Karen is. Karen is a common stereotype of a racist white woman who uses her privilege to get her own way at the expenses of others. I myself have had a run-in with Karen, but she goes by the name Tony Pickett. Pickett works as a floor manager at the Jewel on Route 59 and 95th in Naperville, Illinois. On May 10th, Pickett decided to racially profile, assault, threaten, and harass me. Some may question, what would make me say such things about a person I only met for 20 minutes while shopping at my local grocery store? Well, I'm so glad you asked. There were 6 things that happened during my unpleasant encounter with Pickett. The first thing, Pickett racially profiled me by asking if I had paid for something, although I was not finished shopping. The second thing, Pickett used the word or the phrase you as to say you people, after being warned that if she kept harassing me, I would start to record her. Pickett refused to stay 6 feet back during social distancing. Pickett began to touch me without permission. So just so everybody knows, it has been reported that blacks are 3 times likely to die from COVID than whites. I have lost a few family members and friends due to COVID. Pickett then threatened to call the police on me. Her excuse, I recorded her. Pickett continued to harass me by following me out the store because nothing she had done prior provoked me. The actions of Pickett tell me she's a racist, entitled white woman who believes she will face no consequences for her actions. I'm still working on that. So although the meme for all the Karens in the world seems to be funny, I want you to remember the first Karen who lied on 14-year-old Teal. I want you to remember Stinny and how some believe that white lives are more valuable than black lives, so much so that a jury could make a decision in 10 minutes to take the life of a black child. And lastly, I want you to remember Tony Pickett, who thought it was okay to threaten the life of mine and my family's. Thank you.
Next, we have Betty Washington, founder of the Joliet Community Action Network Male Mentoring Program. She is part of the Silver Cross Hospital Healthy Community Commission, past NAACP president. She is currently part of the Joliet Junior College Trustee Board.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's a blessing to be here today. This is a beautiful day that the Lord has made, and we are rejoicing and we are glad in it. The death of George Floyd has birthed in this nation and across the world an unstoppable movement, a movement that demands justice, equity, and respect for black lives as never before. The questions at hand are, what's next? Where do we go from here? How do we acquire equality, equity, justice, and respect for people of color? I would say it begins with each one of you here today. It begins with demanding police reform and dismantling structural and systematic racism. This means examining and addressing our own biases, both implicit and explicit, making deliberate efforts to transform systems of learning and development of our youth, both in school and out of school. We must take the time and effort to teach our children how to face and deal with racism when confronted in certain situations. This calls for preparing young people to be productive citizens in the communities in which they live. We as adults must unite and work together and stop working in silos. We are facing a real struggle. There are no big I's or little U's in this fight. We are stronger together than apart. It is going to take every one of us to be involved and to make the needed changes. It will not be easy to dismantle a system that has disrespected, murdered, dehumanized, and marginalized an entire population of people for centuries. One of the first places to start is to exercise your right to vote. Everyone that is eligible needs to register and to vote in every election, local, state, and federal. We need to mobilize and vote on November 3rd, 2020. But we cannot focus only on the candidates for president. We must be educated and vote for candidates running for the Senate and the House of Representatives. It is imperative that we elect candidates who share our values and concerns and are willing to work with the president to make necessary changes. This also applies to local candidates running for office. It's a time to educate, mentor, and prepare our youth to be involved in the process of voting and policy making. Also ensure that they register and vote when they are old enough. My friends, the struggle is real, and to change, it will not happen overnight. I'm reminded of the fable of the tortoise and the hare. Most of you are old enough to remember hearing that as you were growing up. The hare was very fast, as the story goes. The tortoise was very slow. The hare was so confident in his speed that along the route of the race, he decided to take a nap. While he was napping, the tortoise came along. He was confident, he was determined, and he stayed the course. He ended up winning the race. He passed the tortoise and crossed the finish line first. The moral to that story is the swiftest doesn't always win the race. It's the one who is determined, committed, and willing to stay the course. And so I challenge each one of you today to be committed, to be determined, to stay the course, to stay focused, and to stay in the struggle. Thank you.
Next, we have Tony Graves, deacon at the Prayer Tower Ministries, community activist, and former member of Black Panther Party.
Greetings, everyone. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? You know, today we realize that all over the country, from Washington State to Florida, from New York, California, people are rising up. People are rising up in resistance today. Some time ago, 1976, was the last time I had a chance to address the crowd like this. Can everyone hear me? It was during a situation in Joliet with the Joliet Police Department, the murder of Tony Person. And at that time when Tony Person was murdered, the people rose up again. There was a rally, there was a march at the Joliet, at the Will County Courthouse, and people stood up and said, no more, we're not taking it no more. So now we want to say to everyone, at this time, they talked about all the so-called rebellions, all the so-called burning. Yeah, it was a reaction to anger. It was a reaction to no response to all the injustices in this country. But at the same time, we have to think about history. We have to think about Rosewood, Florida. We have to think about Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Millions of property, millions of dollars of property was destroyed. A resilient people. They had banks, hospitals, airports. All of it was destroyed. Millions of lives was killed. Who did it? Who did it? So now, we being the type of people we are, forgiving people, peculiar people, we are so thankful, but yet we must say that we not only are not racist, we are anti-racist. And because we are anti-racist, we know that silence is confirmation. We say to Sunday morning, today at 12 o'clock was the most segregated time in America. So we say to the white church, your silence must be broken. You must continue to step up. I got a call from Atlanta. They closed down the expressway. And the best tactic they ever used was all the white rebellion, all of the white brothers and sisters were the first ones on the front line, all across Interstate 75. This is another example of how resilient we can be, how we can stand as one people, and stand up and resist to exist. There comes a time right now we must say to ourselves, the day that we was born and the day that we died, there's a dash in between there. What are you going to do for that dash? What are you going to do between that time? Are you going to commit yourselves? Are you going to do more than just protest? Once you protest, it becomes action. And once it becomes action, you have to be organized. You have to have some tactics. You have to be in a position where you're willing to move, and move sincerely to bring about a change in this country. Because right now we see this country moving further and further toward fascism. Fascism, you understand? We had peaceful protesters that were dealt with like they were in Nazi Germany. Everyone here knows of abuse. Everyone here knows of police injustice. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be anywhere right now. Right now, anybody standing up to resist will also be signaled out. So what we have to do is stay together, be together. It is so beautiful. Fred Hampton, I was 14 years old. He orientated me. People say a lot about the Black Panther Party. I don't shy from the Black Panther Party because as you can see today, our 10-point platform. We want land, bread, housing, clothing, education, justice, and peace. As our major political objective, we said we want a United Nations supervised plebiscite to be held throughout the black community in which only black colonial subjects will be able to participate for the total will of black people as to their national destiny. We said we want a full employment for our people. We said we want to end the robbery by the capitals of our black community. We said we want all black people to be tried by jury or peer group of people from the black community as defined by the Constitution of the United States. So we stand together right now as a true rainbow coalition. I appreciate this organization for doing what they're doing. I say push the positive and all power to the people. Thank you. Oh, and this shirt came from that table over there.
Next, we have Lauren Sullivan, a junior in high school, and Maddie Sullivan, who's going into 7th grade and Team USA cheerleader. Oh, I'm sorry. They will be recognizing those that have been killed. And as they name the people, if you could just line up starting from over there, that would be great. Thank you.
Now we would like to read off the names of all of our black brothers and sisters who have been taken far too soon. Trayvon Martin, walking home with ice and scales, shot by George Zimmerman, who is found not guilty. Keith Scott, sitting in a car, reading, shot by police officer who is not charged. Atiana Jefferson, looking out her window, shot by police officer who's still under indictment for murder! Jonathan Brielle, asking for help after auto accident, shot 12 times by police. Case ended in mistrial. Jordan Edwards, riding in a car, shot in the back of the head by police officer who is found guilty of murder. Stephon Clark, holding a cell phone, shot 8 times, 6 in the back, officers not charged. Amadou Diallo, while taking out wallet, officers fired 41 shots by 4 officers who were all acquitted. Renisha McBride, auto accident, knocked on door for help. Homeowner was found guilty of 2nd-degree murder. Tamir Rice, playing with toy gun, shot by police officer after arriving on scene. Officer was not charged. Sean Bell, hosting a bachelor party, 50 rounds fired by police officers who were found not guilty of charges. Walter Scott, pulled over for brake light, shot in the back by police officer who pleaded guilty to civil rights violations. Philando Castile, pulled over in car, told officer he had a legally registered weapon in car. Officer acquitted of all charges. Ayanna Jones, sleeping accidentally shot by officer in a raid on wrong apartment. Officer cleared of all charges. Terrence Crutcher, disabled vehicle, shot by police officer who found not guilty of manslaughter. Alton Sterling, selling CDs, shot at close range while being arrested. No charges filed. Freddie Gray, beaten to death by officers who were being transported in police van. All officers involved were acquitted. John Crawford, shopping at Walmart, holding a BB gun on sale. Police officer was not charged. Michael Brown, shot 12 times by police officer, including in the back. No charges filed. Jordan Davis, killed because he was playing loud music. Shooter found guilty of first-degree murder. Sandra Bland, pulled over for traffic ticket, tasered and arrested. Suspicious suicide while in jail. No charges. Botham Jean, shot at home while which police officer mistook for her own. Officer found guilty of murder. Oscar Grant, handcuffed and face down. Officer shot him in the back. Officer found guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Corey Jones, waiting by his disabled vehicle, was shot 3 times by police officer who was found guilty of murder. Tamila Horsford, beaten and thrown off a balcony while she attended a sleepover with 7 white women. 1 woman was the wife of a police officer. No charges filed. Tony McDade, shot and killed by police. He was attacked by 5 people the night before his murder. Florida amendment will not release the officer's name. No charges filed. Bakari Henderson, beaten to death while on vacation by a group of white men because he took a picture with a white race. 6 men convicted of a deadly assault to 5 to 15 years in prison, 3 acquitted. Keith Childress, killed by police claiming he had an unknown object, assuming it was a gun. It was a cell phone in his hand. No officers were charged. Betty Jones, accidentally shot in the neck while at her neighbor's house, trying to help her deal with the domestic disturbance. No officers charged. Miguel Espinal, stopped for a traffic violation and ran for not having a license and was killed by police. No officers charged. Nathaniel Pickett, killed by deputy who said that Nathaniel fought and punched him, but the video evidence identified that as false. No charges filed. Tiara Thomas, mother of 3, killed by police whose motive is suspected to be financial. Officer was charged with murder. Jamar Clark, officers claim he interfered with an emergency responder. However, witnesses say Clark was unarmed and handcuffed when he was shot. No officers have been charged. Michael Lee Marshall posed no physical threat when 3 sheriff deputies restrained him into unconsciousness at Denver jail. He died after 9 days on life support. No officers have been charged. Christopher Kimball was struck and killed by a police cruiser that was speeding on its way to a reported crash. Christopher was killed while crossing the street. No charges filed. India Kager was in the car with her 4-month-old child and child's father. While the 3 of them were in the car, police threw a flash grenade, smashed the window, and fired 30 rounds into the car in a matter of 9 seconds. India and the father of her child were killed. All officers were cleared of any wrongdoing and her family was compensated with $200,000. Felix Kumi was an innocent bystander during a sting operation who was standing near the suspect and was shot and killed. No officers have been charged. Michael Saby was sprayed by a chemical agent by police while he was in jail, causing him to become unresponsive and die soon afterwards. No officers have been charged of this crime. Darius Stewart was stopped for a broken headlight. The police officers mistook Darius for someone else with the same name. He did not have any warrants and had no criminal records. He was shot running away, and after the first gunshot, he yelled, "I can't breathe," then was shot again with the fatal bullet. No officers have been charged. Jonathan Sanders was in a buggy pulled by horses when the lights behind him scared the horses. Jonathan was trying to calm them down when an officer choked him and killed him with a flashlight. No charges filed. Jermaine Benjamin. Deputies were called regarding a claim of disturbance against him. A deputy subdued him by putting a knee to the back of his neck and pressed him against the ground. By the time they turned him over, he was gone, stated Jermaine's cousin, and no charges were filed. Kevin Higginbotham called the police to report trespassers. When officers arrived, he was beaten by batons and pepper sprayed and put into a coma with progressing brain injuries over 9 months, leading to his death. No officers have been charged of this crime. Ray Shard had a police encounter due to a possible DUI, and fatal shots were fired when he ran. Officer terminated, and second officer involved has been placed on administrative duty. Ahmaud Arbery, jogging, shot by 2 men who claimed they suspected him of burglaries. Both men were charged with murder and aggravated assault. Breonna Taylor, shot 8 times by police officers who arrived to the wrong address for a drug raid when a suspect was already in custody. George Floyd, he was killed by a police officer who had his knee on the back of his neck for 8 minutes while he called out for his mother and pleaded to onlookers that he could not breathe. These 44 people are just to list a few. Based on the Washington Post, updated on June 13, 2020, 1,033 people have been shot and killed by the police in the last year. There have been 472 so far in 2020, and the number of murders by police is consistently around 1,000 plus each year. Over the last 5 years, black people account for less than 13% of the U.S. population, but are killed by police at more than twice the rate of white America. The records since January 1st, 2015 indicate that 1,295 black people have been killed by the police. Now we invite everyone here to take a knee, as we have had a moment of silence for all of our fallen brothers and sisters, and for everyone else who suffered a senseless death due to police brutality. We recognize that you could not get the justice you deserved, and we only hope that through our community involvement, activism, voting at each level, and demanding that we do better, George will be the last one.
Thank you everyone for coming. We would especially like to thank everyone that helped to make this happen. Grace, Jennifer, and Phyllis for helping with everything. Terry and Brad from the Park District. All of our speakers, Ernest Krim, Denise Dawidowski, Betty Washington, Pastor Doris, Tony Graves, Lauren Sullivan, Maddie Sullivan, and of course, Megan for helping organize. I could not have done this without you. DJ Sunrise that will be playing music afterwards, and all the artists that came, and thank you to everybody else that came out to help support. If you would like more information about our group and immediate action steps you can take today, there are pamphlets that are being handed out right now with immediate call of action items. This event today is a heartfelt action towards the desire to unite our community. We hope our allies here today can work with us to destruct prejudice, understand the bias in their fears, and ultimately act for change. No more colorblindness, no more generalizations, no more accepting systems that hold our communities of color down. We need to speak up and act. If you haven't already joined our fight, today is the day. Thank you. And then also, we have local artists, so please enjoy the music and browse. There's artists over there. And then also you can register to vote at that table back there. Thank you so much.